Hello all you John Rambo loving cosmonauts, as always I am Cosmic, and today we're taking a preview look at Badass Hero, which is a roguelike platformer shooter set in a comic book universe, currently on Steam's Early Access program in development by Awesome Game Studios. So the game places you in the role of Badass Hero, which is a comic book hero, and you start off on the first page of the comic book, and the level design is tailored around moving from comic book pane to comic book pane and completing the levels, and then you flip through the pages and then completing that specific comic book and then moving on to the next one. Now the game is centered around a roguelike system, so that every time you die you are then able to upgrade your character based on the amount of ink that you have collected from fallen villains. The progression system itself works very nicely, and you have 3 trees to choose from various items, so you can increase the amount of ink that you're going to gain from killed enemies, increase your health points, increase the amount of grenades that you can hold. And it's something that works. It's very simple, works very straightforward, and works well ultimately. What I like about Badass Hero in particular is its core gameplay mechanics. So not only is it got the roguelike progression, but it's also got the roguelike random level generation, and it's got a nice sense of difficulty to it. Because it is a shooter rather than a melee focused game, you're able to use a variety of weaponry, from shotguns to submachine guns to bazookas to all kinds of things that are going to do various amounts of damage and have various effects, like freeze guns, fire guns, all that kind of thing. And I think that the amount of variety on offer, plus the fact that you have armor progression as you progress, so going through the levels you'll sometimes come across an upgrade that will give you a wacky hat or some armor, and your character can look for everything from a pirate to a jungle shaman. And that whole sense of progression and the variety available, which kind of almost has humor elements to it, it works very nicely and is very well executed. There is one thing, however, that really lets the core mechanics of this game down as it currently stands, and that is the level design itself. I love the idea that the level design is based around moving from comic book pane to comic book pane. The problem is, though, that the level design itself is very samey. It doesn't really do anything to differentiate itself from the last level. Now, while there is random generation involved, the problem is the fact that it's still a platformer that usually consists of a larger level consisting of several platforms, or a small square level that maybe has 2 or 3. And the variety gets very old. There's no variety to the level design really, other than a different backdrop, different colors, and different enemies. Enemies themselves tend not to be too different from the other, and it's something that really does let the game down, because you have these great shooting mechanics in there, you have this nice difficulty, you have these progression mechanics, all of which work very well and are very well executed. I have to say that the platforming works really well, the shooting works really well, but the level design is so stagnant, it's so constrictive each and every time, that you never really get a decent sense of enjoyment from the levels. It's just going through them and ultimately doing the exact same thing what you did the last time. Now, the boss battles do switch it up every now and again, and the boss battles can be quite enjoyable, but again, it doesn't do anything that really stops the almost tired burnout that you get from the level design, that it just has very little variety to it. Other than the level design, I have to say that every other aspect of Badass Hero is absolutely fantastic. It's a game that takes a very simple premise and executes it very well. I love the visual art style, the comic book art style. I think it's fantastic and looks very, very charming, very vibrant, very fun. The audio side of things is a little bit disappointing at the moment. There's not enough variety in the gunshots, and the musical score isn't anything to write home about. Now, the game is currently on early access, and I think that it's something that certainly has potential to be more than it is currently. I think that they have a great system in place. They have great permadeath, great character progression, procedurally generated levels, great combat, and great platforming. but it really does need to live up to its name in the sense of these, it promises completely unique worlds, but it's not. They're not really completely unique. They look different, but the core level design underneath that aesthetic change is not really any different than the last. And I think what they need to do is add a level design system that adds a sense of progression within it. You need to have level specific mechanics that get progressively difficult. You need to have something that makes this world not only look different but feel different as well. Ultimately, it comes down to this. For me, the game does not do enough to distinguish itself from its competitors as it currently stands. The fact that the level design lets it down so much and doesn't produce levels that are really engaging and fun to play through, I think is going to really darken the game's potential. Unless the developers really sort that out, I think that it will just remain to be a good but not amazing roguelike shooter. For me, if you're interested in buying it, I would wait. I think that it's just a game that needs to be worked on further. It needs more content to it. It needs more unique mechanics to it. It needs something that, while the art style is vibrant and visual, it needs something that's really mechanically going to set itself apart from its competitors. And I think that level design in a genre like a roguelike shooter is absolutely key. And so, for the most part, I would say wait until release and see how it pans out. And that is my preview look at Badass Hero. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, make sure to subscribe and share the video on social media. And as always, I will see you next time.